cars are lining up ready to go out onto the grid for the final B race in the Mazda MX-5 Championship. It already has an end-of-term feel about it. Will Hayden is starting on pole position, and these guys have been hammer and tong, door to door, all throughout the season. Everything to play for as they go into the final race. Everyone's looking for a good result. Jake, take us through the action.
Thanks, Lloyd. Indeed, with this being the last B-grid race of the year, everybody wants to bow out at the top. Will Hayden and Michael Fisk on the front row from Paul Bateman and Ivan Leary. Clive Poles and Oliver Robinson on row 3 from Chris Stapleton and Russ Lyndsay. Then Callum Greatrex and Richard Wootton on row 5. Tim Dorr and Christina Holly are on row 6. Luke Souch and Oliver Jenkins line up beside each other with Andrew McGregor and Richard Bartlett on row 8. Neil McGregor and Chanel Drew. And then Sam Jarvis and Simon Woods rounding out the top 20. Dan Denham is beside Elliot Han. Bruce Carter lines up beside George Grant, then Bruce Robinson is alongside James Love, Dale Whiteman is beside Graham Rumsey, and then finishing off the grid is Christopher Ginn, David Rickards, Orlando Lindsay and Alan Hawkins. Plenty of drivers out of position, others wanting to charge their way through the field, but this is the last race of the season for the B grid in Mazda MX-5 Championship Racing 2018. Let's have a great one, away we go, and it's a cracking start from Michael Fisk, who charges away from a very slow starting from Will Hayden, and then Clive Poles is going to dive around the outside of him. Paul Bateman's got through as well. Keep an eye as well on the very fast starting Richard Wootton, who's moved up into about 3rd or 4th position potentially round the outside, but Ivan Leary's going to get back to the inside line and take him on. And we're on board with Christina Holly. This is a bit of a low camera position, but you get the real intensity of vibration as she charges down the hill through the crane of curves. That's Richard Wootton to our left-hand side. Go on, Christina, keep the throttle open. Perfect. She's made up a few positions on the first lap already. Now trying to tuck in behind Chris Stapleton as they go through the old hairpin for the first time. There's Chanel Drew making up another place round the outside of the stalwart of the championship, Luke Souch. Chanel Drew's having a great weekend. Richard Wootton trying to get up the inside of Christina Holly. Not going to happen. Christina's keeping that car very nicely planted throughout, but it's Fisk who leads. Poles in 2nd, Bateman is 3rd, and I think that's Will Hayden down to 4th position. Not a great getaway for the pole sitter. There's Callum Greatrex trying to shake off Chris Stapleton as they go into Coppice for the first time, and they're trying to catch up to Ivan Leary. So the field knits its way through. Chanel Drew going side by side again. Another good bit of driving there from Chanel. As up into the chicane they will come down the back straight. Fisk hanging on in front of Clive Poles, who's in 2nd position. Poles has had a good start, but Paul Bateman is right in behind him, and then it is the 65 of Will Hayden. So the top 4 come across the line together. No major problems or disasters. Stapleton trying to go side by side with Callum Greatrex. 5th position, trying to see who that is. That looks like Oliver Robinson in front of Ivan Leary, as Fisk is going to have the 2nd place change behind him, I think. Bateman's going to get on the inside of Clive Poles. Poles is going to continue to run right round the outside. Not enough, Paul. Clive Poles hangs on to 2nd position. Very good work from him there. So Fisk is your leader. Poles in still 2nd position, up to 3rd. Well, that's a big, bold lunge from Paul Bateman to get on the inside of the old hairpin, and he's done it! Brilliant! That was a crazy move to go right up close to the white line on the way down the crane of curves, but he's made it stick. Good work from Paul Bateman. What's that fantastic sentiment of Del Boy from Only Fools and Horses? He who dares wins. Up to 2nd place he goes. Very nicely done indeed. Michael Fisk is your leader. Bateman in 2nd place. Hayden now 3rd because he got past Clive Poles as well on the way out of the corner. So Clive Poles has got himself a bit of a job to do now, down in 4th position. Oliver Robinson further back in P5, trying to shake him off. Down the back straight, this is great work from Fisk. And it is Bateman, 3rd position. Is still up for debate because Clive Poles is going to get back alongside Will Hayden. Hayden's going to get squeezed out nearly over the white line, and Clive Poles gets through. Will Hayden is there in 4th position. This is going to be very interesting, this race between these 4. They're going to break clear of the rest of the field unless they keep squabbling. And then Robinson will be there in 5th with Ivan Leary in 6th position. A bit of a gap back now to Callum Greatrex and Chris Stapleton, who are 7th and 8th position. And then it looks like Christina Holly, who is there in 9th place at the moment. And I think she's now battling with Oliver Jenkins as they come through. We'll double check that a little bit later on. And it's Clive Poles in 3rd place, trying to shake off Will Hayden as they go down the crane of curves. They're in pursuit of Paul Bateman in 2nd, who in turn is charging after the race leader, Michael Fisk, from 2nd on the grid. They come out of the old hairpin, back on the power, through the left-hand flick, out of Schwantz curve, back up the hill once more. They're going to keep on charging Through the left, up towards McLean's. Into the braking zone, carry the power and the speed round. Get back on the throttle. Nicely done. Will Hayden is definitely giving Clive Poles some pressure as they come up to the right-hander at Coppice Corner. Into the right-hander. Plenty of curb. A little bit of a bounce there from the back of the car from Will Hayden as he gets back onto the back straight. Down Starkey's. And Michael Fisk at the moment has a bit of a gap over Paul Bateman. That's enough to be comfortable for the moment. Third position. Clive Poles versus Will Hayden. Into the braking zone. Right, left for Goddard's. No issues at the moment. Will Hayden just looking a little bit more aggressive than Clive Poles. But if he gets it slightly wrong on the way out of those apexes, that's where he's going to lose time. Further back, we've got Greatrex and Stapleton battling for 7th. And look over the hill. It's an absolute swamp of cars, led by Richard Wootton, who has got through and up into 9th place. Then it is Christina Holly trying to shake off the attentions of Andrew McGregor, who's charging his way through. And that is the 37 of Tim Dorr in there as well. So Tim Dorr trying to get on the inside of McGregor. Keep it up there, Tim. You're doing a good job, mate. Back on the power, back on the throttle. Oh, just about chopped across by McGregor. A very tough race this, especially now he's got Oliver Jenkins chasing him down. Now this is between Callum Greatrex and Chris Stapleton, and they're being caught by Richard Wootton. Then it's Christina Holly, McGregor, Dorr, Jenkins, and I think in behind, that looks like Bartlett in the 70... Well, I think that is Richard Bartlett in the 78 car. There's Tim Dorr. Still with Oliver Jenkins all over the back of him as they go through Schwantz Curve. Onto the brakes for Coppice again. Greatrex and Stapleton have been caught rapidly by Richard Wootton. Here comes Richard. Up on the inside. Is he going to get the move? Not quite. Chris Stapleton has slammed the door shut in his face there as they come off of Coppice Corner. Down Starkey straight. Really strong run to the braking zone again for the chicane. And Tim Dorr is trying desperately to shake off Richard Bartlett, who's just tucked up to the inside line. Is Wootton going to get a run on Stapleton? He's going to have to come from a bit of a way back. He brakes hard. No, he's not quite committed to that move, and that's why Stapleton gets a little bit deep into the corner. But is Richard Wootton going to be close enough to get a run off the turn? No, not quite. Christina Holly is very much charging up towards him now, and that could mean that the 17 of McGregor, Andrew McGregor namely, will come with her. So they're down to the braking zone. That's Sam Jarvis now trying to get on the inside of Tim Dorr. And that's nicely done. Good work from Sam Jarvis on the exit. Bartlett might find a way past Tim Dorr as well. Is there enough room to snake through on the inside? It's not very easy to judge as Christina Holly continues to try and shake off the attentions of Andrew McGregor. Down to the braking zone for the old hairpin. A good run this from Christina Holly. She's looking a lot more stable than the earlier race. Oh, and a spin! Richard Bartlett! Well, that was very good avoidance there from Luke Souch, who just about gets out of the way in time. Oh, so close for Simon Woods, who almost went straight into the nose of Bartlett's car. Bartlett's got to wait for the whole field to come through. Orlando Lyndsay at the back of the queue before he can rejoin the circuit. Meanwhile, Christina Holly has decided, I've had enough of this. I'm going to charge after Richard Wootton, actually. So she's now on the tail of Richard. They go down the back straight. Chris Stapleton in front of Callum Greatrex now. Then it's Wootton. Then Holly. Down the back straight up to the braking zone once again. This is going to get very interesting as they hit the brakes to turn into the chicane. Right, up on the curbs. Left, back on the power. Up towards the front end of the field we look again. And this is why Bateman has caught up to Michael Fisk. So we could get some really exciting battles between these guys at the front end very soon indeed. It's not going to be too long before Michael Fisk has really got to start breaking out a sweat over Paul Bateman. Clive Poles is not a million miles away either, only about 5 car lengths further back. So this is going to be an interesting three-way scrap. 4th position. It's not done and dusted for Oliver Robinson. He's still there. For Will Hayden. Very similar looking cars. Will Hayden there in 4th place still. Is still there in 4th position. They come up the hill, through the left flick at Schwantz, and then up into McLean's. So Michael Fisk is under all the pressure in the world at the moment just to try and hang on in front of Paul Bateman, and Clive Poles in 3rd position in the 18. He was excluded from the earlier A race when he was battling for position. According to the sheet I've got in front of me, it was due to driving in a manner that was non-compliant with safety. I didn't see him do anything untoward, but clearly the stewards did, so that's why he's now in the B group. So as far as Clive Poles is concerned, nothing less than a victory will do in his last race of the season as he pushes on to the back of Paul Bateman. Oh, Paul, careful. He's another driver who's had all sorts of difficulties this weekend and should be in the A group, and of course was at one stage, but unfortunately ended up retiring from the second race, or certainly ended up a long way down the order, and that means that he has now got to try and fight his way further back. So Michael Fisk leading the way, Bateman in second, third is Clive Poles, and they have pulled out a bit of a gap now actually on Will Hayden. Here is the gap battle between Ivan Leary and Oliver Robinson. Robinson trying to dive up the inside of Leary as they go through, down at the bottom of the old hairpin. So Ivan Leary just trying to hang on to this race performance at the moment in front of Oliver Robinson. They've got away from the pack behind them, but they've obviously got a lot of ground to make up to the leaders. They're pretty much in no man's land ahead of Stapleton and Callum Greatrex, a few seconds back down the road. And then, of course, there are a few seconds up the road is the leading pack. But Ivan Leary still running well in front of Oliver Robinson. As they go down the back straight, look how much time has been made up by the leaders. They've just dropped these guys and disappeared. So Robinson and Leary look like the best they're going to get out of this race on pure pace is 5th position. And that's what they're willing to battle for now. Leary takes it very steadily through the S's. Robinson's going to try and dart for the inside line. Leary cuts back across, so Robinson goes left as they go down the Wheatcroft straight. This is another opportunity for Robinson to try and come around the outside of Ivan Leary at the braking zone. It's all going to be about who's bravest on the brakes and who's more controlled, as it looks like Bruce Robinson has pulled off and has retired from the race down the main straight. Certainly one of the Gulf racing colours of the cars. And up the inside, it's beautiful from Robinson. Gets Leary on the exit of Redgate. Very nicely done indeed as they drop down through the Crane of Curves once again. That is textbook. Absolutely brilliant from Robinson. So he gets through. No problem at all there as he takes on Leary and beats him in a straight fight for the moment. Leary's going to come straight back at him though. Up through Starkey's Bridge. And then up under Schwantz. Here they come through the left flick. Is Leary going to get Robinson straight back again? Well, he left his braking about 1.5 meters later than Robinson, but that has definitely got him a little bit closer to the 19. So they're going to come up the hill once again, up towards Coppice Corner. This is going to get very interesting between these two. Out comes Robinson. Leary's going to get on the inside. They're side by side now down the back straight. They could almost wave to each other as they battle in for position. Over the crest together. Leary's on the inside line. This is perfect in terms of his positioning, but he needs to outbrake Robinson. Oh, he's outbraked himself. He's overshot. He's going to go over the curbs. Over the sausage curbs there. He gets back on the power. Comes Robinson. Sails back through. Oliver Robinson just waited for his moment there. Leary outbraking himself and losing the place that he's just gained. So Fisk, Bateman and Poles still out front. Still a decent length of the field behind them now. But Michael Fisk looking good to wrap up his final win of the season if he can hang on in front of Bateman and Clive Poles. But we've still got quite a bit of running left in this race. About 4 laps to go or so. And around this 1.9 mile circuit, when it's very fast, very tricky and very technical, that's not an easy task. Bateman trying to come around the outside of Fisk into the braking zone for Goddard's. Get that car stopped. In through the right and left. Nicely done. Fisk comes back off the power and onto the main straight once again. So Bateman now in the wheel tracks of Michael Fisk as they come down towards Redgate once again. Here's the opportunity for Bateman. Is he going to dive for the inside of Fisk? No, Fisk is going to move to cover. No chance that he'll get through on the inside line there. He may get a good exit though as Fisk uses way too much curb on the exit of Redgate. So if Bateman could just keep the momentum flowing through Hollywood, down the drop of the Crane of Curves, through the right, and then sailing through the left, trying to carry as much inertia through the corner as possible, then brake, turn into the right hand of the old hairpin, then Bateman may have a chance on Fisk. But I think Bateman's actually pushed a little bit too hard into the old hairpin, and it's more likely now that Clive Poles might get a crack at him as they come up towards Schwantz again. Clive Poles has suddenly sensed that Bateman has gone a little bit over his own limit there. So Fisk is your leader. Bateman in second, now under attack from Clive Poles, who wants a win. He's running out of time to do it, to be fair, but both he and Fisk and Bateman, actually, all three of them, have come from the A group and been demoted to the B, so they all want to finish on a high. Fisk decides to break the toe of Bateman and Poles, and I'm not surprised, because if these two work together, there is going to be one heck of a fight to close up on our race leader, Michael Fisk, And in my opinion, they should be working together. Look how well it worked for John Langridge and Oliver Allwood in the second of the A group races. Poles does not want to overtake Bateman at this point. He wants to get in behind him and edge him closer to the race leader, Michael Fisk, but he's not going to do that. He's going to charge forward up the inside at Redgate. He's not quite able to get close enough under brakes, is he? No, not quite. He really needs to be working with Paul Bateman at this stage as they come through turn 1. But Michael Fisk is leading with enough of a gap to be relatively in control. Bateman in second place. Third is still Clive Poles. They've got a lot of gap back to Will Hayden in fourth. So it looks like these three will be on the podium. But the question is, in which order? It's still up for debate. It's still not decided between these three. Fisk, Bateman and the 18 of Clive Poles. They drive back up the hill, through the left flick. This is going to be a really intense moment as up the inside. No, Poles isn't close enough to get through into McLean's there. He's going to have to get back on the power again. Up the hill, up towards Coppice. Not close enough yet. He's going to need a really good exit out of the right-hander. We're running out of time. We're running out of laps as well. So this is going to be a really important moment for Clive Poles. He needs to get onto the tail of Bateman. Fisk is very sensible here. He breaks the toe. He knows that these two could catch him, so he decides to deliberately break the toe. Poles is going for broke on Bateman. I think he's realised that the victory is probably out of reach, but he wants to get in front of Bateman. He's got to hope that Fisk makes a mistake and that he can get a run on Bateman realistically to win this race. But as they come across the line this time by, Fisk is going to continue to hold this pace as they go into what I think is now the penultimate lap. We're certainly running out of time. They might get enough for 3 as up the inside, Poles is going to challenge Bateman. They bang doors once, twice, 3 times they rub. And up the inside, Poles is there, but Bateman is still to his left. He's not done yet, Clive. He's not done yet. Now he is. Clive Poles squeezes through. That was brilliant. Very close stuff indeed between those two. I was worried that was going to get a little bit too close. But Clive Poles just about hangs on in there and grabs second place. Now, does he think he can get away from Bateman and start to catch up to Michael Fisk? Because he's definitely run out of time to win the race on pure pace. Unless Michael Fisk gets held up in traffic. That's his only real option now. Bateman is still in there behind Clive Poles. But Bateman wants to get second position back again. That will be his target. They roll off the right-hander again. Back on the power, down the back straight. That is the 58 of Dale Whiteman in front of them as Fisk comes over the crest. Here's the battle between these two. Bateman's going to try and have a look to the inside line. Now he's going to change tack and go the other way. He's going to carry too much speed. He nudges the back of Clive Poles. Well, unfortunately, that was pretty much always going to happen once Bateman decided to change direction. He wanted to carry a bit more speed, but with Poles being on that inside line, there was only a certain amount of throttle he could carry through, and that ended up getting a little bit sloppy, but they just about avoided a major incident there. Poles retains second, Bateman retains third, but now they've got to go at it all over again, and that's given Fisk an even bigger advantage as he stretches out his lead here at Donington. They drop down the hill again. Clive Poles in second. No problem at all for him now. He's got a few car lengths in front of Paul Bateman, and that is what that sort of incident where you just nudge each other and you're both trying to second guess what the other is doing. He's effectively just handed Clive Poles a massive advantage as the 58 of Dale Whiteman comes down through towards Schwantz, and round the outside of him, Clive Poles just knits his way through. Whiteman a dab of brake just to get out of the way and not cause too much of an issue. So that was very clean driving from Dale and very good work indeed from both Clive and Paul to get by without losing any time at all. So they come through Coppice one more time, but it looks to me as though second place is now pretty much settled between these two. They come down the back straight once again, and this man, Michael Fisk, is running the race of his life here in the last race of the season. This will be a nice feather in the cap after a difficult weekend for Michael Fisk. He will want to bow out of the season on a victory, and he's definitely done the job today. He just needs to do it one more time. Last lap, and here we go for Michael Fisk across the line. It's a thumbs up for the team at the moment. So Michael, just keep it together. This has been just about the tamest race of the weekend, but it hasn't even been close to tame at times. But Michael Fisk has broken clear at exactly the right moment, and he's just left Clive Poles and Paul Bateman to do the dance of death for second position. They're going to go at it again by the look of it, because Bateman has caught up to Clive Poles by quite a way in that last lap. He's put a good lap time in, no doubt. This man, Michael Fisk, is just running a good rhythm at the moment. He doesn't even need to stress. Here we go. Those two further back, getting very close. Poles versus Bateman could end up upstaging the race winner as he comes across the line at this rate. But Michael Fisk with the biggest winning advantage of the weekend in Mazda MX-5s this weekend. Let's look back and see how second place is getting on. It's pretty tight. Whoa, Clive! Oh, he's lost it! He loses it at the top of the hill through McLean's. Clive Poles throws away a second place. Disaster. Is Will Hayden going to get through? Yes, he does. That's a podium gone for Clive Poles. Ah, the agony. That's a disaster for Clive, and he'll be absolutely hopping mad with that mistake. But Michael Fisk has not put a wheel wrong all race. He's not quite going to lap James Love before the flag. That's going to keep James very happy. But it's going to be Fisk who takes the victory. Oh, is Love going to let him go? Yes, he does. Well, not quite. But Fisk gets the victory. Fisk is your race winner. A fantastic race from Michael Fisk. Absolutely dominant. And he will be absolutely elated with that. That means that second place will now go to Paul Bateman, with third place going to Will Hayden. Such a shame for Clive Poles spinning on the last lap. But a victory nonetheless for Michael Fisk in front of Paul Bateman and Will Hayden. Clive Poles recovers to be fourth. Stapleton and then Greatrex from Wootton, Jenkins, Christina Holly and Andrew McGregor in the top 10. And then we have Sam Jarvis and Tim Dorr from Graham Rumsey and Alan Hawkins. Woods, Dugald McGregor, Carter, Bartlett, Ginn and George Grant. And then the field is completed by Orlando Lyndsay, Dan Denham, Elliot Han and James Love, with retirements from Whiteman and Rickards, Leary, Robinson, Chanel Drew, Luke Souch, and then right at the tail end it is Bruce Robinson and Russ Lyndsay who failed to start. But a great end to the season for Michael Fisk, who bounds out at the top.
Michael, that was really good competitive racing out there, but by the end you seem to just be putting a bit of a country mile between you.
Yeah, got away. They started squabbling for second place, which was nice. Gave me that little bit of breather because they were a little bit quicker down the straight. We've been struggling for straight lines, so when they started getting into each other, it gave us the opportunity to check out and take it.
So obviously this is the last one of the season. Does this mean that you've had a bit of a teaser to show us what you're going to do next year with us?
Hopefully not to be, but yeah, hopefully we can sort a few things out and we'll be back where we should be at the top. But yeah, nice to win regardless. Yeah.
Paul, the Mazda MX-5 Championship often produces close racing, and that was a really tight one.
I think did it look good? Did it look all right? I mean, it was tight. It's typical. We were all just making a slight error. If you made the slightest error, it was 2 car lengths, and we had to be absolutely on it. And I nearly had the race possibly at one point, but then it went the other way, and I had to defend. And,
yeah, lots going on there, as you say, but a well-deserved second place, and that sees you going into the end of the season and some good preparation for next year, hopefully.
Yes, it does. It's left me with a smile on my face, which wasn't there after the previous race, but things have worked out okay.
Well, congratulations once again, and we certainly look forward to seeing you out there in 2019.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So a last race of the season, and you managed to get on podium. You must be overjoyed.
It's been a long time coming, yeah. To be honest, I didn't think it was going to happen. I saw Paul and Clive battling the whole race, and I was thinking, come on, please make a mistake. And I kept my head straight, and last lap, finally got one. So I'm overjoyed. I'm loving life right now, so it's brilliant, yeah.
So we'll be carrying this joy and hopefully joining us for next season?
Without a doubt, 100% I'm going to be here next season and hopefully be up there in the A's and getting the podium in the A's, hopefully. So.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you the best of luck on the off-season and we will look forward to seeing you next year.
Cheers, thank you very much.